Is it hard to come back from a KO loss and still be
No,
yourself?
what is hard to come back is you gotta learn how to box before you come back.
In this video, we gonna talk about Ray Mercer telling Deontay Wilder he need to learn how to effing box. And Wilder responding to Ray Mercer and all of the old school fighters that's been hating on him and that's jealous since day one. But before we get into this next video, if everybody could do me a favor and hit my like button and subscribe to the channel if you're not already a subscriber to the channel. What's happening with it? Like I said, let's talk about Ray Mercer telling Deontay Wilder he need to learn how to effing box before he ever get back in the boxing ring. Now, it sounded like Ray Mercer had a whole lot of hatred in his tone when he said that. You know, he could have just answered the question and said, hey, you know, I wish Deontay Wilder the best, or I really don't have nothing to say about that situation. But he made it his duty to say, Deontay Wilder, you need to learn how to effing box. And so, like I said, it sounded like it was a whole lot of hatred coming out of there. Well, let's just talk about Ray Mercer. You know, Ray Mercer was a former Olympic gold medalist. You know, he won the Olympic gold in 1988. Went on to have a professional career of 36 wins, 7 losses, and 1 draw. He really came on the map in the heavyweight division in 1991 when he knocked out the then manufactured heavyweight Tommy Morrison. Now, Tommy Morrison had a big name in the heavyweight division because he had starred in the Rocky film, and Tommy Morrison was supposed to be great white hype, right? The next great white heavyweight champion. And, you know, Tommy Morrison, he never became that, but he had a whole lot of hype behind his name. And Ray Mercer came out in 1991, right? Won the WBO by knocking out Tommy Morrison, right? In devastating fashion after being down on all 3 scorecards. Being an Olympic gold medalist, Ray Mercer was supposed to have a excellent boxing career. You know, he was supposed to have an excellent boxing career. He's supposed to come in the heavyweight division and do some damage. But after beating Tommy Morrison, his heavyweight career, it never turned out to be that. Now, we got Deontay Wilder, right? That started boxing at the age of 20, went right into the Olympics with no experience and was able to get a bronze medal. Deontay Wilder went on in his career in the heavyweight division, right? That's still going on to this day. He went on to have 10 successful title defenses. Now, Ray Mercer, on the other hand, after he beat Tommy Morrison, he never had a successful title defense. He actually never was able to regain his championship because in the very next fight, Ray Mercer lost to a 44-year-old Larry Holmes. Larry Holmes was 44 at the time when Ray Mercer lost on all 3 scorecards to Larry Holmes by unanimous decision. Ray Mercer then went on to lose to Evander Holyfield. He got knocked out by Vladimir Klitschko, got stopped by Shannon Briggs. So Ray Mercer went on to have a very lackluster career. While on the other hand, a man that didn't start boxing until he was 20 years old, that got a bronze medal in the Olympics when you got the gold in the Olympics, he went on to have 10 successful title defenses and knocked out every man that ever stepped in the ring with him. Yeah, Deontay Wilder. That explains to you why Ray Mercer is mad and he hating on somebody like Wilder. And see, Wilder told us a long time ago that these old school fighters, they still living in the past and they can't get out of the past. They're mad and pissed off because they boxed their whole career and they have nothing to show for it, Ray Mercer. When you got Deontay Wilder that got into the sport just to take care of his daughter that had an illness, right? He didn't know what else to do. He didn't know how else to make money. He knew that he could fight, right? From being in the streets, having fist fights. And he said, you know what? Let me try out this boxing. Maybe I can make enough money to be able to take care of my daughter and give her the proper treatment that she needs if I step into this boxing game. And he did it, and he became a mega superstar while you was in the boxing game your whole life, right? You grew up boxing and you didn't have half the career and half the accolades and half the success that this man Deontay Wilder had. And so, yeah, old school fighters like Ray Mercer, they're pissed off because they looking at Deontay Wilder and they're wondering, how does he have all of this knockout power? How does he have all of this success? And he didn't start boxing until he was 20 years old. How did Deontay Wilder have 10 successful title defenses and I couldn't defend the title one time after I won the title by beating a manufactured hype job that never turned out to be shit in his career, but a drug addict and a steroid cheat? And I couldn't defend the title not one time in my whole career. And you know what? If you look at my resume, I never beat anybody besides Tommy Morrison. I fought a lot of fighters, but I never beat none of those fighters. Yeah, I fought an old washed up Larry Holmes, but I was never able to beat Larry Holmes. I fought an older Evander Holyfield that was way out of his prime, but I was never able to beat Evander Holyfield. I fought Vladimir Klitschko, but I got stopped by Vladimir Klitschko. I fought a Shannon Briggs, but I got stopped by Shannon Briggs. I was never able to beat anybody but C-level fighters like a Burt Cooper, you know? And so he's pissed off because, like a lot of these old time fighters are, because they can't understand how Deontay Wilder became so successful and never had boxed a day in his life until he turned 20 years old. And it's crazy. And now you're looking at a man, right, that has millions and millions and millions of dollars. Every time you hear him speak, he's speaking positive. He's so happy with what he was able to accomplish in his career. And yeah, you're mad because you were supposed to do that in your career, coming out of the Olympics, a gold medalist. But now, like I said, and like Deontay Wilder has been telling everybody for a long time, hey, you know, they boxed their whole career and they trying to figure out what did they do with their finances? Why they don't have anything to show for it, you know? And it's a sad game. You know what I'm saying? Boxing is a crazy game. But Ray Mercer, it ain't no need to be mad at Deontay Wilder. Deontay Wilder didn't stop you from having the success that you were supposed to have in your career. It ain't Wilder's fault. And you talking about this man, he needs to go and learn how to box. Well, if you was able to learn how to box so well, how come you never had no success in your career? How come after beating the only really name on your whole resume that you got to win against, how come you was never able to beat anybody else? You was able to get in the ring with them, but how come you was never able to beat any of these other fighters? If you can box so well, right? How can you tell that man he need to go and learn how to box when he's accomplished 10 times, right? 10 times more than what you ever accomplished in your career. And he's made 50 times the amount of money that you ever made in your career. But you telling him that he need to learn how to box? That's crazy. Because how did he win the Olympic bronze medal if he didn't know how to box? You won the gold. He was in the Olympics just like you were, right? You came out of the Olympics with the big name in the heavyweight division. Why didn't you accomplish what he accomplished if you know how to box so much better than he does? And yeah, nobody's saying that Deontay Wilder has the best fundamental skills, but you ain't got no business telling that man to learn how to box when we look at your career and you ended up, right, having to leave boxing and do things like kickboxing and MMA because you could never cut it in boxing, right? All of them skills that you had, it really never amounted to much in the boxing game. It didn't. It didn't amount to nothing. 36 wins, 7 losses, and 1 draw. And you lost to 44-year-old Larry Holmes once again, lost to Holyfield, lost to Vladimir Klitschko, lost to Shannon Briggs, and all the other L's you had on your record. You know, and salute to Ray Mercer. I liked Ray Mercer a lot when he was a fighter, but his career never panned out to what it was supposed to be. So at the end of the day, like Wilder said, we know why you're mad. Anyway, y'all hit my like button, subscribe to the channel if you're not already subbed to the channel, and drop a comment in the comment section and let me know what y'all think about this. There you go, talking that boxing again, and I'm gone.